This is Laurel Creek. It's just past the Laurel Creek shelter where I stayed last night. I'm going to stop and get some water and do a little bit of washing up. You can see from the light on my pack that the sun is shining, which is awesome. And it was quite a night last night. It was about probably close to 7 o'clock when I rolled into the shelter, and I could hear noise and laughter and that sort of thing before I even got there. And I was like, man, it sounds like a party. What's going on? So I got there, and it turns out there was a camp group there of I'd say teenage, 13, 14, 15-year-olds with a couple of leaders, and they were out doing a trip and had blue tarps set up everywhere. Every one of them was hammocking, except for one. They were all hammocking all around the shelter, and then there was one kid, I guess, had a problem with his setup, and he was in the shelter. Turns out he moaned all night long. I've never heard anybody do that. It wasn't snoring, it was moaning. Which made it a little bit difficult to sleep. And then early this morning, they started getting up about 6 a.m. and were just noisy as kids are. So it wasn't the most restful night, but it is cool to see people getting out and enjoying the outdoors and learning about the outdoors. So I'm always happy to see groups, and especially young people getting out and checking things out. But the hike yesterday was, it was good. I felt really strong. I felt like I was hiking well, and unfortunately, my feet were wet all day long, and they got pretty shredded by the end of the day. So I've got some hot spots that I had to treat with some lamb's wool and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that today, especially with the sun shining, yay, sunshine! Hopefully they'll be doing better today. And we've only got 12 miles planned. We're thinking about going a little bit further, but I think it's probably good for us. This is our 4th day hiking, and they've all been like 14, 15-mile days. So 12 today would be good if we can get into camp a little bit early, rest, and then push hard tomorrow to get closer to Fort Pines and just have a short hike in there to Nero 2 days from now. So anyway, that's kind of the plan for the day, and haven't seen the trail, so we don't know how it's going to go, but that's hopefully it'll be good. It's a little after 10, and I've gone about 1.5 miles. I start out slow to get warmed up, and the forest has been very peaceful this morning. It's so nice to have the sun shining through. It was getting kind of depressing with all the gray and the clouds and the rain, and the area we were walking in was a lot of dead trees, fallen trees, and it just, with no people around, definitely can get a little depressing, unfortunately. But if you look over here, there's some fields. And I believe when I get down to the bottom of the hill here, I'm going to spend probably 2 miles heading through the fields, and at the top of that should be a giant oak tree called Keffer Oak. So I will show that to you when I get there. But when I come down to the bottom here, I think I'm going to stop and readjust. I have put some moleskin on my shoulder right here, where my strap has been rubbing against my collarbone. I was getting raw and blistered, and just a little piece of moleskin that the camp group gave me out of their first aid kit. It was real thick and padded, and I was hoping that maybe that would take care of the problem, but it doesn't seem to be. So what I'm going to do is actually take some lamb's wool that I carry in my pack and some duct tape and strap that to my shoulder to give me a little protection from the friction. And I think part of the problem was all the moisture yesterday and just being wet, because that's kind of tough on your skin when you get friction. But it also is, I've been adjusting my pack, trying to get it up a little higher and find the right combo or settings for my straps that are most comfortable. And of course that varies day to day depending on how much weight you're carrying, whether you're going up and down and that sort of thing. But anyway, it's been a bit of a challenge for me, and so I've got a raw shoulder, and I'll hopefully see if I can take care of it. I am out of the woods now, in more ways than one, I would say, because it's sunny. But look at that house over there. Beautiful property. This is so gorgeous. That's the kind of place I would love to live. This is how I envision Virginia in my, I guess maybe naive, idealistic viewpoint. But it's gorgeous, and I'm happy that I get to hike through the fields today for a little bit. I haven't gotten too far. I just came up the hill and stopped under this big tree. Went from one set of pastures to another, and I just have to say, for a Florida girl, everything's flat there. And granted, I live in Georgia now, but I grew up with flat, 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 and a lot of brown. Unless you're on carefully manicured, landscape, watered areas, then I'm not used to this lush verdant green, and it is, to me, just spectacular. And of course there's a long ridge along there, so get a different perspective of the areas that we've been hiking in. I just love it. Totally different mood than I've had for the past couple days. I find this just very uplifting and thrilled to be here. I know I'm going back in the woods in a little bit, but I'm going to certainly enjoy these 2 miles. This is a first for me. I haven't had to walk on these little bridges over kind of boggy areas before, but here I am. There is a snake right down there. I don't know if you can see him. I kind of scared him. I'm not going to bother him. There is a pretty little creek here, and it feeds into a much larger stream that I just crossed over that way where the guardrail is. The bridge goes over, or the road goes over the creek. And if I had my shorts on instead of my leggings, I'd be very tempted to just jump in and sit in the water for a little bit and cool off, take a bath. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not dressed appropriately, so I'm just took my pack off for a second and just found a rock here to sit on. And I'm going to chill for a minute and then hike on up to see the Keffer Oak. Wow. Finally made it to the Keffer Oak. It's huge. I'm going to come closer and take a look at the trunk. Okay, that is a big tree. This is supposedly 300 years old. I think about 50 feet around. I have to double check in gut hooks, but it's huge. And it's beautiful. I'm going to sit here and have lunch and contemplate all the history that's happened in this area since this tree was a seedling. Hey cow, we're having lunch here. Cow!
Well, Bessie decided to join us for lunch here.
I guess so.
I guess it's where the good grass is. Out near the Keffer Oak.
So we're having lunch over here by the Keffer Oak, and Miss Bessie decided to come check out our lovely spot. And all her friends followed.
Look at them. Oh
Look at them all. There's a ton of cows. Oh no, they figured out the fence. Here we go. Climbing over. Are we going to be trampled by a herd of cattle? They are clearly not bothered by us. There's the Keffer Oak right there. It's huge. Showdown at the Keffer Oak Corral. Alright, so our lunch has been totally crashed by a herd of cows. I don't know, there's at least, what, 30 of them maybe?
I mean, at least.
All different, and they're staring us down like they want us to leave. Poor Mudbug, not done with lunch. What's he gonna do?
I wasn't done.
I wasn't done. Bessie over there, the troublemaker, she's the one that started it. And now they're just looking at us like, get out of the way. We want to graze. Okay, now we are surrounded and they're staring us down. They're like, get out. I do believe this area was reserved for humans, not cows, but look at them all. Oh man, that's just too funny. All right, Fred.
Every cow.
Every cow is here.
In the state of Virginia is here.
Shoo cows, go go.
Or do you?
Whoa. Yeah, they are all just staring us down, and unfortunately we want to go over there to the Keffer Oak and hike out. But man, those looks, if they could kill, they're like, get out.
I'm trying.
Get out. We want food. We want to graze. We got this whole line behind us. They're waiting.
Like, all the good grass is over there.
All the good grasses. Grass is always greener. All right, we're going to have to figure out how to make you all move. Back up, cows. Back up. Move along.
Brave old moon pies paving the way for me over there. Oh, we got a couple going rogue.
You guys go that way.
Thanks, moon pie.
I'm walking along the ridge of Bruiser's Knob, and there are several of these what are called cairns along here, and just different piles of rocks. And in Gut Hook it says that they were built by early farmers. I'm not sure why, but the first time I ever saw a cairn, that's when I was a little girl, and they were in the Bahamas. We had sailed there, and on some of the out islands there were cairns where people passing by in ships would stop and leave messages. So it was kind of a old time type of post office that allowed people to leave messages, and then somebody coming by on the next ship could pick them up and pass along word for whatever information was important at the time. And so I think that's kind of interesting. And this ridge apparently is dotted with cairns for about a mile or so. Something else you might find amusing, since if you've been watching my videos, you know how much I love rocks. Well, I do love rocks, just not on the trail, but when I first came across the first couple of piles, I thought, oh, yay for the hiking club, they moved all the rocks out of the trail. Not. Wishful thinking. There are still rocks in the trail, but the cairns have been here for quite a while. And so I'll be passing them for a bit. There's one just right there behind me. Clouds have come in. I've got sprinkled on a little bit, but just got to this area where there's big rock outcroppings that you can stand on. And these are the rocks you have to climb over to get that amazing view. It's a little scary looking down. Sometimes I just try not to look down. I'm a little wet. I showed you those rocks and called the ledges. They're real steep right on the edge of the cliff there. And that was just the beginning of them. There was probably close to a mile of rock scrambles, and about halfway through it started raining. And of course those rocks are much more slippery when wet. So that was a real challenge and put me off my target time a little bit. I was hoping to get to the shelter by about 6 this evening. Yeah, I've been taking my time all day, but I was really hoping to get there about 6, set my tent and all that good stuff. Now it's looking like it'll probably be 6:30ish, depending on the kind of terrain I have ahead. I'm getting ready to go downhill, which is good. The spot that I'm going downhill from is the Eastern Continental Divide. It's 1,920 miles to the Gulf of Mexico, and I believe it's 405 to the Atlantic Ocean. Basically, all the rain that's falling on me now is going to go that way if it's on that side, and this way if it's on this side. So that's kind of interesting. Good news is that the sun has come back out even though it's still dripping, and if I'm lucky, since I didn't have my rain gear on, I might get dry before I get to the shelter.